I'm Sherry Borgstrom. I post all of my art under the moniker Cheeseburger. What we have here is it's paper, printer paper, very simple. I've already got junk all over it. It's I can't see if you can see. It's folded. Can you tell? It's folded into quarters. I do that so that I can use less paper. All of my comics, I scan them in and I tweak them, and then I never do anything with the paper copy again. Yeah, I just start usually with the head, which starts very sloppily as a circle. Pardon the angle. If I move it to a better angle for you, then I can't see what I'm doing, and there's a slight delay on the capture, so we just have to deal with it. Okay, so what I do, and this is kind of a recent thing in trying to figure out the design of the cartoon me, I guess, is that I make my head, and then I make a circle that's pretty much the same size, or an oval that's pretty much the same size, just rotated 90 degrees. Yeah, that's 90 degrees. And it's the same size, it's just that way, and that's how I figure out how big the torso is, and that's just to kind of keep some kind of consistency. And I usually make little balls where I'm going to put the shoulders. When I do the hips, I make them. I put two balls that are the same width as the head right next to each other, because I have a massive butt, and I find that this is a great way to emphasize that. You see this as very scribbly, right? Like, you get that. This is just what I do, and I don't have any idea what I'm doing, and I'm not using visual reference. I just screw around with lines like all the time. I think I want to really emphasize that I'm squeezing this thing here. So I took a lot of art classes and stuff. I have a degree in art, but not in illustration or cartoon or comics at all. So I'm really not sure how educational anything that I'm about to tell you is actually going to be. In fact, I'm quite convinced that this is the absolute wrong way to do every single thing that I do. But I guess people like to see other people do things the wrong way. I don't know. I've tried to tell people. I've been asked on a few websites, both on the actual comic website and then on Tumblr, and I've gotten, private asks and things, and people ask me how I do these, and I guess, I don't know, I guess maybe they can't believe that they look as stupid as they do, and they want to see how I do it the stupid way. Maybe that's why. That's probably the best explanation there is. Like, your comics are so stupid looking that you have to be doing it a stupid way, and I need proof that you are doing it the stupid way. That's probably what it is, honestly. And I'm not offended by that, because I know I do everything the absolute wrong way. And I can't decide if I want the dog to be happy about this or not. I know I want the cat to be unhappy, because cats don't like this, but dogs are really excited about stuff. Like, usually they're pretty enthusiastic about life. Really, if you can choose if there's reincarnation and you get to choose try to be a dog, because like those things, they're happy about everything. That's what I would, if you could pick, that's what I would pick. I should probably actually be looking at the dog. This is another reason that I use the printer paper. So I sketch stuff out very roughly, as you can see, and I don't have any visual reference. If I did, that cat would probably look more like a cat, and that dog would probably look a lot more like a dog. And then I'll do something in the next square here, and then I'll do something in that square, and that's where, and this one is actually probably going to have about 5 or 6 frames. So after I do that, since I don't have a light box, which would admittedly be really awesome, I will then take another piece of paper. After I've refined those lines, I'll take another piece of paper and I'll trace. Though, remember, underneath is still the initial rough sketch. Like, I'm not just magically better at deciding where my lines go. That's not something that just magically happened. I turned the dog's head, as you're probably seeing about now, because to me, it makes it easier to tell that he's happy if he's facing forward. Because you know how, like, when dogs pant, they kind of look like they're smiling. That's kind of what I was working at achieving, and I found that it was very difficult for me to achieve the happy looking dog from the side, so I gave up. Now I have much smoother lines, right? And that's awesome. I already need to sharpen my pencil though. I have smoother lines now, and that is just fabulous. I really like paunchy fat cats. I think they're really cute. I just like them that way. They look snugglier to me that way. Okay, look, this is okay. This is good for now. What's going on there? I like that. Okay, so this is gonna be like, see how I didn't draw the jaw completely across here? Well, I did just now by mistake, but this is gonna be, because her head is facing, or my head, I don't know, is looking slightly upward, so that you're kind of getting an undershot of the jaw. I'll probably shade that with a gray halftone in Photoshop. I don't shade with gray markers on these paper versions, because the scans, when I scan it in, the black lines are pretty light. And to remedy that, you know, I'm not going to tell you how we'll get to the Photoshop thing later, and then you'll see what I'm talking about then. And I'm not going to muddy this by trying to talk to you about stuff that happens, like, so many steps ahead. Okay, so that's the basic blocking in of that frame, and we will probably trace that frame again, believe it or not. I know it sounds painfully boring. I don't know, like 3 or 4 months ago I purchased these, and that was probably the best thing I've ever done. It was just a brilliant purchase. I regret nothing. It was money well spent. Okay, so here we have the sizes. Let me flip over so you actually see them. Okay, so obviously this is the thinnest line, and this is the thickest line here. And I don't have a 100% set in stone methodology for this, but I'm gonna take the 1/8, and where it gets a bit dicey, kids. Now I'm committing forever with every line I make, and it always makes me so nervous. Okay. This is the thickest line, and I go around the entire outer, probably shouldn't rub my fingers right over the marker line, the entire outer shape with it. So even there, because I like how it looks. I think it makes it look more finished that way. That's just that. Not everybody likes that, and that's fine. But for me, I really like it. Okay, so what you're looking at is a slightly sped up video. I had recorded an introduction, which I don't know, one of the devices that it took to get here ate it. So I'm gonna record me talking, I guess, through what I'm doing. Currently, I'm using the 005 fine liner, and I'm just going through on the details of the face and stuff. I'm not really doing anything so complex that you can't see what's going on or anything. On the minor details on the insides of you know, on the stuff that is not the negative space, I use the smallest fine liner to get, you know, the facial details, and that's really what you're watching right now. You know, it's pretty self-explanatory. There I'm doing something with the teeth, like, I don't know, I guess I've seen cartoons or comics that have done that. I don't know why I like to put in blacks in the corners of the mouth to indicate that the teeth are smaller than the smile. I don't know where I picked that up. I just started doing that, and I like it. And quickly scribbling in on the dog's eyes. Okay, so I just blocked in the shine, and I scribbled in on the nose. That's with every intention of going back with a bigger or a thicker marker to get in there later. It's just not worth the amount of ink that it takes to fill in an area like that with the small guy. I'm just doing more of the same here. Not really sure that you need my commentary on this stuff. It kind of spells itself out. It's pretty obvious what I'm doing. Okay, and here I started showing you the markers I'm changing from the 005 to the 03, and I'm going over the lines where any figure overlaps another. So anything that's in theory closer to the imagined camera, I guess, gets a thicker line to set it apart from the different thing. Like there I went around the arm of the cat, which is in front of my hand, or cartoon me, whatever. So what I do is I go through with a slightly thicker marker to separate different things. I like to vary the line width, and I'll probably end up going around the entire thing, separating the focal points from the negative space with the 8 again, to just to thicken that line even more. I'm currently really a big fan of the line variation, so that's probably something that'll end up happening before the finished product goes live on the blog. And you can see right there, I realized that where the cat's body was, there was going to be some kind of shadow or something, so I just scribbled in to decide that I was just going to color that in. I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do with it, and I didn't want to spend any more time thinking about it, so I just scribbled it in. I know it's not terribly professional, but well, I'm not getting paid to do the webcomic or whatever, so I guess it doesn't really matter. Okay, so now I'm blocking in the hair with the 8, the 0-8. And you can see I'm filling in the tiny areas and giving myself a little bit of an edge or a buffer, you know, so that I can color it in just a second. You'll see with a bigger marker. The Copic sketch. And yep, see, there I go, and I'm filling in the area. That allows you to make sure that you stay within your lines, and every time I don't take better care to outline an area with the 8 or the 0-8 before I switch to the Copic, I bitterly regret it. Hi, Cheeseburger again. This is a sped up process video of the digital end of making a story comic. I just gave you a quick run through of the layers. What I do is I scan them in, and then I separate each frame into its own layer. Then I copy out a layer into a new document. See, frame 1 got copied into a new document there. Okay, so then I made a new layer as a clipping mask, and I'm tweaking just any little imperfections that I think might bother me. Then I merge them, then I make a copy, I set it to soft light, and then I blur it by 1.3 pixels. I do that twice. And then here I'm looking at, I hit a button or something and my tablet got weird. Okay, so then I pull out a standard Photoshop brush. This one's called, I think it's a soft oil pastel. It's near dry brushes. I just like it because it kind of reminds me of a bleedy marker. And I just tweak little edges that I think need work. Usually I don't mess too much with the lines because I kind of like the look of being a scanned marker drawing. So really I only tweak the lines when I feel like something is lost in conveying what the intention was. Or there were two lines bleed into each other that I don't want to touch each other. But for the most part, I don't really tweak the lines too much. Yeah, just lines bleeding into each other, so I'm just trying to keep them separate. Cleaning up areas. Oh, there was a little bit of a scan issue with that one heart, so I tweaked that. Now I can see where the edge of the frame cut off the foot, so I tweaked the foot. I'm thickening some lines. You know, it's all just tweaking things that don't look great when they're scanned, and you know, there's not really a whole lot to that. I don't get to the shading part for a little while. So yeah, that's just what this is the part of the digital end that's just terribly boring. All I'm doing is tweaking lines here or there. And the reason I don't tweak the lines extensively is that it's boring to do. There's really, I don't have like a great artist's reason for most of the things I do. I have a lazy person's reason for most of the things I do. You know, I used to draw digitally, but you know, you make a line and then Command Z or Control Z, and make a line, Control Z, make a line, Control Z, make a line, Control Z, and you spend 5 minutes on one line, and it's just impractical. If I'm not getting paid to do something, I'm not putting in that much time. So here, okay, so now I'm doing sort of rim lighting. I'm not sure if my thought when I'm doing this is that it's rim lighting, or if my thought is like, it's kind of like when they print comics in the newspaper on Sundays, but they do it badly so the ink doesn't quite fit into the lines. I'm not sure which I'm really thinking of. I just kind of like the effect that it has. I do that. So anyway, I should tell you, the way I get the cat to be gray is not by coloring it gray. I make a new layer and then I set it to 50% opacity. And I use the same black as the shirt, that, you know, the darkest black that I have on the image. And I do that because this way, if I decide I want to darken parts of that gray later, which I do in this particular one, I made a point to do that. I could just do the same thing where I set the opacity differently, but I use the same black, and I'm not covering up the grays. I think it's kind of like, it's kind of the cheap and easy and lazy way to do it. But I've spent so long making art on the computer that I just kind of know a lot of little cheats that make stuff go faster. Again, this is all still that 50% opacity black layer right here, and it's very simple, and I'm sure there are even easier ways to do it than the way I do it, but you know, this way it gets kind of, even the digital end looks not too digital. It looks almost hand done all the way throughout. It kind of has that somewhat messy look that I like. I had a couple webcomics, and the second webcomic that I did, it was so polished looking, and it was almost sterile, and this is kind of taking it in the opposite direction. And I think I like this better. I don't know if you can hear, my cat is shut out of the office and she's crying. I don't know if that comes through. I assure you she's fine and she's well fed. She has a perpetual feeder. Okay, so this new gray that we're going in here, this is still just black, but this is a new layer, and it's at 7% opacity. And that, yeah, anything that's like the farther away, or that I think just needs some shade to it. Obviously, I don't really have a consistent light source. You'll see by the time I'm done that there's no one light source. I just kind of darken things that are farther away from the lens, and move on. I don't really overanalyze, you know, well, where is the light in this shot? It's different from if I'm making a drawing that I want to sell, or that I've been paid to make, or that it's a commission or whatever. I will give that a lot more thought in terms of light source or whatever. These are more pictures to convey a story than they are pictures to look pretty. So yeah, we're still at the 7% opacity with a black brush, and I'm using the soft oil pastel, I think it's called, brush. It comes standard with Photoshop. It's in the dry brushes section. I'm just adding little hearts around the hearts that I have added in ink because I thought that would be nice. Okay, so here you see I'm over top of the cat. That is still the 7% opacity layer. It's just on top of the 50% opacity layer. So I'm able to get a darker gray without having to go into my colors. I pretty much exclusively use black and white for this comic. Even where it's gray, I don't use gray. I use black, and I change the opacity. It's a real quick and easy way to get everything to look okay without worrying about covering up my lines. The whole reason to do the opacity too is that instead of just using a gray is that I then have to worry about covering up my black lines, or then I have to set the top layer. This is just the easiest way to do it. That's why I do it. When you work digitally enough, you figure out what things take you the most time, and then you find shortcuts around them if possible. Especially since, this is only a thing that I update on Fridays, and I don't want to think about it obsessively for weeks or days and days. I really usually only spend Thursday and maybe Friday morning working on these. I don't spend a lot of time working on them, and I kind of like that about them. I feel like they're just kind of a spur of the moment thing, whatever's on my mind that week. Okay, so then I think this is just, okay, so I put everything in a group, I duplicate the group, I merge the duplicated group, so that it's all in one layer. Then I go to the custom shapes tool. That's a shape I made that kind of looks like a wibbly box. It's just it just kind of adds the hand done look. So I made that with my custom shapes tool. Here I'm trying to figure out why the opacity is off, and there I figured it out. Okay, so then I make a clipping mask with the merged image. And there I'm setting my signature eraser, but I'm realizing that I need to merge first. And then I go to stroke, realizing that line was too thin, stroke, 10 pixels, bam. And then I take the eraser, which I set to 20% opacity, and I erase the edge of that, and now I'm cropping the whole image. So I have to get the selection down, so it's just around the edge. Okay, so I crop the image. Then I save as a PNG, because JPEGs degrade, they get crappier over time. And then I resize it to a smaller size, and done. Alright guys, I'm going to do the third frame of this update, and hopefully we'll do it start to finish. I'm gonna have to speed it up, but just wanted to do the intro, and thank you again for tuning in. Thanks. Okay, so now I'm doing post commentary here. You see I started with the circle for the faceplate and the circle for the back of the skull, which is just out of frame. I didn't realize how much was out of frame on this one, so my apologies. I did the circle for the torso, circle for the shoulder, like I've shown you before. And again, I didn't realize how much of his body was out of frame. This is framed very much the same way as the previous frame. It's kind of like a immediate follow-up to it. So he's supposed to be similar, but with a slight body posture change, or body position change, pose change. That's the word I was looking for. And again, sorry about so much of that being out of frame. Okay, so now here I'm roughly blocking in the cartoon me, and it's very rough because, as you see right now, I'm actually drawing, like, you know how in cartoons when somebody like very quickly runs away and they do like a cloud shaped like that thing? That's what I'm doing here. So that I didn't need it to be exact, and I didn't feel the need to solidify any real physical forms on that. So now I'm blocking in the cloud shaped cartoon me, I guess. And of course this whole process goes a lot faster when I'm not trying to talk to you. So the video is sped up a little bit, but it also just naturally goes much faster if I'm not trying to talk with any coherent point anyway. If I'm just talking to myself, I usually don't have to worry about sentence structure or making sense or conveying a point or anything like that. But when I'm trying to talk to you guys, it's a little bit different. So now I've started with the 08 fine liner, and I'm doing the outline. You know, you've seen me do this before, so this is not a surprise to you. But now you're just seeing me do it without interruptions and without bouncing back and forth between frames. Normally I'll draw all the frames, I'll sketch all the frames, and then I'll go back and I'll ink all the frames. But that would obviously take so much longer to film the sketch phase and every phase really, so I didn't really know how to approach this when I started. But there I'm showing you the 03, which is about the medium of the pack that I have. Let's switch to the 01. There's a cat hair that got there. See how I curved the sleeve so that it's more indicative of the fact that the arm is, you know, the hand is and elbow are moving away from the lens, so to speak. And I decided to do to vaguely insinuate bulges where facial features would be. I'm not sure if this is something I'm going to keep by the time I get to the Photoshop phase. For now it works, but I don't know. We'll see. Okay, so now I'm blocking in his stripes on his shirt. And I'm trying to figure out how I want the spacing to be. I realized pretty quickly that what accidentally has occurred is that the way I've done the lines, it either looks like the lines go diagonally or they are getting, I don't know, their width is changing, and this is obviously an inadvertent effect. See, and it really is accentuated from one sleeve to the next. I'm realizing that probably right now as I'm, you know, as I'm inking it in, I'm realizing that there's not much I can do about it, and I don't feel like redoing the whole frame. And odds are I'm not going to tweak that when it gets to the Photoshop stage. The thing is, when you want to do the simplified line that goes straight across, you should really use a straight edge, because then it's very obvious that you were just doing straight across and that was a stylized choice. Or you should try to wrap the lines around the figure, which was not something I wanted to do stylistically. I wanted it to look like they were just going straight across. Unfortunately, I didn't plan exactly the way I should have, and it kind of shows. But you know, it's one of those things where if the more you think about it, probably the worse it is. I'm sure somebody just looking at it is not going to feel as frustrated by that as I was, and you know, I'm sure it wouldn't faze most people. I'm also realizing that the way that the top of this stripe that I'm currently coloring in here hits the line of the table, that it looks kind of awkward, and I'm not really sure what else there is to do about that. Okay, I've whipped out the Copic sketch for coloring in larger areas. And you'll see last time this time I actually gave myself a sufficient buffer, so I won't have bleeding edges or bulges in the lines that bother me. Unfortunately, the stripes themselves are problematic, so you do one thing and you know, we make mistakes in one area or the other, it seems like. So, you know, it is what it is. I'm coloring that in real quick, and okay, so this is pretty much what we've got. You know, see the description for links to my Etsy shop and the actual story comic. Hey guys, it's me again. This is about 4 times speed. It's been a process video of just the paper end of this particular frame. Be sure to check the description for links to my online shop and to the story comic, although if you're watching this video you've probably already seen the story comic, and also a link to the man responsible for the public domain music that I use in this video. If you're wondering what this song sounds kind of like, my personal opinion is that it sounds like the Twin Peaks theme. Enjoy!